Watch this.
We're going the wrong way. We have to make a change and do things different.
Today on Beyond the 208. In Northwest Washington, a fish essential to the Scadget Valley tribes is expected to return to the area in dismal numbers. A dam is impacted while Chinook fishing, and that season has been impacted for decades, but a possible deal could change the future outlook. A man has been living nearly a century without electricity until this week. He'll tell us why it's more than about flipping a switch for him. And a senior center in Portland is showing it is never too late to try something new. Some inspiration heading into the weekend. In this evening's Beyond the 208, we head up to Washington State, where the population of Chinook salmon returning to the Scadget River this summer is expected to be the lowest in nearly 15 years. And this is a blow to Native American tribes of the Scadget Valley. They say this shows more than ever they need Seattle to stop totally blocking salmon with its dams on the river that they've called home for thousands of years. Here's Susanna Frame with our sister station in Seattle.
I don't know if you can see that white down there. That's a fish.
Definitely not usually how we catch the fish.
Chairman Nina Maltos of the Soxhuatl Indian tribe has been fishing the waters of the Scadget Valley since the age of 6, like his ancestors. But for thousands of years, they pulled in troves of Chinook for their people and way of life.
How'd you get it so far out?
The numbers now are so grim. This summer and fall, the Soxhuatl can take just 24 wild Chinook.
Hearing stories about the fish being so thick that you could practically walk across them, to we're at a point now where if we catch, 24 wilds, we have to shut down. It's sad no matter how you look at it. It's devastating.
Right now we're in dire straits. It doesn't get much worse than this.
Many tribes of the Northwest, including those of the Scadget Valley, call themselves salmon people, and Chinook are considered the priority. Chinook, or king salmon, play a central role in their culture, history, and spirituality. I'm here in the Scadget River where Chinook salmon are struggling. The species has been on the endangered species list for 25 years, and this year the forecast is as bad as it's been since 2011.
The writing's on the wall. We need to do something different. You look back in the last 30 years, the track record has been pretty abysmal. We're going the wrong way. We have to make a change and do things different.
The news comes at an important crossroads. The city of Seattle's dams on the Scadget are up for relicensing. More than 100 years ago, Seattle constructed 3 dams on the Scadget to generate electricity. At the time, no one consulted the Native Americans. And Seattle didn't include any way for fish to get around the dams. To this day, the dams block off nearly 40% of the river's habitat to salmon and other fish species.
Right now, we're taking care of the river. We have to. And hopefully someday, the river will take care of us again like it used to for our ancestors.
As Susanna Frame reports in her ongoing investigation, Scadget, River of Light and Loss.
Over the last 4 years, the King 5 investigators have exposed how Seattle got away with operating the only dams in the Northwest without a fish passage system. For decades, they peddled a theory that no tribe or government scientist believed, that fish couldn't swim up the steep terrain of the Scadget that high anyway. So investing in fish passage would be a waste of time and money.
We flipped the switch. I asked the team to flip the switch.
In 2023, Seattle City Light finally changed its position. In relicensing negotiations, they agreed to install fish passage.
But this represents a piece of restorative justice here. And so what I see us doing here is saying, we understand that we have impacted you and that this was your land. And for this country that has such a history with Native American peoples, that it's such a ugly history, I think it's really important.
That was 2 years ago. An agreement still hasn't been signed. This week, Seattle City Light said they're getting close. They wrote to the feds in charge of relicensing to say, All parties are in the final stages of finalizing all settlement documents, and that they are requesting a further delay, their third, to get it all approved by this fall.
I think at this point it's very important to come to terms on the agreements, get all parties signed off so we can move forward on this.
These tribal fishermen are harvesting hatchery-reared Chinook. There hasn't been a wild spring Chinook fishing season on the Scadget since 1988. That was 37 years ago, before Chairman Maltos was even born. He's hoping he'll see one in his lifetime, with help from the city of Seattle making good on its promise of installing fish passage.
We need this to happen. We need it as soon as possible. We just want to make sure that we stand firm on what's agreed to and get it done as absolute as soon as possible.
Near Darrington, Susanna Frame, King 5 News.
Maybe it's something you take for granted. The simple act of flipping on a light switch, turning on your TV after a long day at work. Thanks for joining us. Or maybe heating up your leftovers in the microwave. Now, a 94-year-old man can finally do all of those things thanks to some Utah linemen. Alex Cabrero, he reports from Arizona.
In a place where the land stretches farther than the power lines, you'll find a man who has lived almost a century in the quiet. Chisakoti has never needed much after serving in the Korean War, but on this day in Tonalea, a small Navajo Nation community that might not show up on many maps, Chi was about to get something most of us can't imagine living without.
To see the people's faces and their emotions that they go through to get power, it's pretty amazing.
Yes, power. Electricity. Linemen from Murray City came all this way not only to give their new workers some training, but to be a part of something special.
You can't really explain. You goosebumps in the back, your hair stands up, and it's a really great feeling. So it's awesome.
Sakoti has been on the waiting list since 2017. Finally, his home made it to the top, and his neighbors had to see it happen.
Today, he's going to get it. So I'm very happy about that.
And just like that, Chi had power. He's never been one to say much, but in this moment, he didn't have to.
He likes electricity coming into his house for his power tools. I guess that one's more important than his refrigerator.
It's not every day you see a 94-year-old man get excited about a power drill. But after a lifetime without his home connected to the grid, Sakoti is finally lit up in more ways than one.
Then probably he'll have his porch light on now when he gets home.
Something he will never take for granted.
Back in Idaho, crews are wrapping up after fighting a fire in Parma. Plus, with weather warming up, police are warning motorcyclists how to stay safe on the road and what the laws here are in the Gem State. Details and more right now in the 411. The Department of Homeland Security says the city of Boise is not complying with ICE immigration enforcement laws. DHS published a list of all cities and counties across the country that are considered sanctuary jurisdictions. Right now, DHS is considering Boise a sanctuary city. According to them, all sanctuary jurisdictions will receive a formal notice demanding immediate review and revision of policies. As of right now, Boise is the only municipality or location in the state of Idaho that is considered a sanctuary jurisdiction. The Bureau of Land Management firefighters, they were on scene to a wildfire this morning, burning about 8 miles northeast of Parma. According to the BLM, the fire has burned around 1,300 acres. They contained the fire at 10 p.m. and expect to have it controlled by this afternoon. The BLM responded to the fire with 4 engines, a dozer, a water tender, a helicopter, as well as assistance from the Parma Fire Department. The investigation as to what caused it is ongoing, but crews do believe it may be human-caused. State police are reminding motorcyclists of road safety, specifically lane splitting. That's right, that's when motorcyclists kind of ride their motorcycle between lanes of slow-moving or stopped traffic. It may be allowed in other states, but not in Idaho. All motorcycles have to stay in a single marked lane at all times unless they're making a legal lane change. Other ideas that they're looking out for: lane filtering, which is the act of picking your way through slow or stationary traffic. And they're keeping an eye out for lane sharing. That's riding side by side in a single lane with another vehicle. This year's Greek Food Festival is underway at St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church on Bannock Street in Boise. The festival will have food, music, and dancing, church tours, and a market. The church grounds are opening at 11 a.m. both today and Saturday. It wraps up at 9 p.m. With your 411 on this Friday, it's Joe Paris. As we head into a weekend that could reach triple-digit temperatures, area doctors are reminding everyone to take the heat seriously. It's been a minute since it's been this hot in the Treasure Valley. Our Aspen Shumpert, she is following what we need to know. You spoke with the local trauma surgeon. What reminders are out there as we approach maybe 100 degrees this weekend?
Yeah, they want everyone to enjoy their activities, but like you just said, take the heat seriously, because a little preparation and a reminder beforehand could prevent a trip to the emergency room. Doctors say heat exhaustion and heat stroke can happen to anyone, not just the elderly or those with health conditions. Young, healthy people are also at risk, especially if they're spending long hours outdoors. A critical warning is if you stop sweating or someone next to you has stopped sweating, you are at risk for heat-related illness. Their advice from doctors is to stay hydrated before you go outside, not just when you feel thirsty, as well as drink water with electrolytes and take frequent breaks in the shade.
Hydrate, 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 hydrate or die. You know, that's one of the sayings that's around, and they're serious. It's, you know, even if you don't feel thirsty, you need to drink. And another thing to do is remember, when it's hot, avoid a lot of alcohol. Just keep putting the water down.
Also, reminders for parents: never leave children or pets in your cars, even for a few minutes. For those who are thinking about floating the Boise River, officials are warning you to hold off on that. Boise Parks and Rec says a lot of factors need to align in order for the official float season to begin, and that right now it continues to fluctuate due to snowmelt and mountain and irrigation demand. A reminder that float season last year did not start until the very few last days of June. The city says Boise Fire has also not yet completed necessary hazard mitigation work to clear trees and debris. But instead of the river, it is outdoor pool season. Those pools are open, some splash pads. Boise Parks and Rec are advising people to take that route if they're trying to cool off this weekend, Joe.
Yes, the splash pads in our area, I know in Ada and Canyon County, a bunch of new ones. Go check them out. Aspen, thank you so much. Let's head over to some weather with Audrielle.
Well, tomorrow is the last day of May, and what a month it has been weather-wise. We have seen high temperatures in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s as of a couple days ago. Yesterday, our warmest day of the year so far, 92 degrees, but we saw some really cold temperatures too. We did have a day where we saw 35 degrees, and that was just 11 days ago. So we've really seen that heat up in this past week, just the past couple of days. Precipitation, we saw some rain in the beginning of the month, a little bit in the middle of the month, but we did not get close to our average as we really dried out as we got to the end of this month. Yesterday, we saw 92 in Boise, 95 in Ontario, all the way up to 96 in Mountain Home. Magic Valley stuck around in the low 90s, but the mountains all made it to the 80s yesterday as well. Right now, we're still warming up. We could easily warm up for another hour or so, but 86 in Boise, Mountain Home at 88, Ontario at 90 degrees today. Magic Valley still in the low 80s, and then the mountains kind of ranging from the upper 70s to the low 80s, but that big warm up comes tomorrow. We saw temperatures in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s this month, possibly getting close to 100 tomorrow for the last day of May. Some tips, as we just heard a few moments ago: hydrate early and often. Start drinking your water now as soon as possible to prepare for it. Make sure you're wearing the right clothes. You don't want to overheat. In terms of kids and children, of course, keep them out of locked cars, as we've been talking about this week. But another thing to keep in mind is pavement and asphalt. Now, you may want to walk your dog outside because it's warm, but asphalt absorbs heat really well because it is black. Typically, darker colors absorb heat, and then it also retains the heat really well as well. So if you are going to be spending time outside overall, make sure you take breaks in the shade. Potentially take breaks indoors if you can, in air condition, because tomorrow we will be into the 70s as early as 9 a.m. here in Boise. We could see 90 degrees as soon as noon, and then once we do hit 90s, we're going to be staying there for that entire afternoon. Tomorrow, 99 is anticipated to be the high in Boise, but Mountain Home, Caldwell expecting 101. Nampa expecting 100, Magic Valley into the mid 90s, and then the mountains into the mid 80s, possibly upper 80s in some spots. There is a heat advisory in place as well, in effect from noon until 7 p.m. at night, because we could see temperatures from 95 degrees all the way to 102 degrees. And again, this is including parts of the Magic Valley, the Treasure Valley, Long Valley, Eastern Oregon, even some mountain locations. If we do hit 99 degrees tomorrow in Boise, that would be a new record. Our previous record was 98 degrees. The good news is that Sunday we immediately start to cool down. We drop down to the lower 80s. Then we drop a few more degrees to start the work week. But tomorrow, the big story is that it's a first alert weather day because this heat could potentially be hazardous.
It's never too late to learn something new rings true for a senior center in Portland. Maybe you think you've run out of time to pick up the guitar, learn how to bake, or try painting watercolors. But as you'll see from a group of seniors, no matter where you are in life or how old you are, you can always learn something new and enjoy it. Catherine Cook shows us how.
Come on, Fritz.
It's the sound one generally associates with getting away. But at the Community for Positive Aging in Northeast Portland, there's no other place this group would rather be. Getting here was a journey in itself for Karen Zinizer.
I'm still learning because I'm not that great at this point.
About 12 years ago, Karen heard a friend play the ukulele. It impressed and inspired her.
She had never played any music just like me. And she was playing for 6 months and she was making a song and singing. And I thought, well, I should try. I mean, if she could do it, I could try.
And then it hit her. Why not bring others along for the ride?
And that's when she said, I've got an idea.
The Hollywood Ukulele Group was born.
There are some days I can't believe that I'm involved with this.
Karen's husband, Keith Buckley, leads the group.
Well, it's been a while since we've done this one.
He's a lifelong musician and toured with several Portland bands for years. Then Meniere's syndrome took hold of Keith's inner ear.
So I couldn't stand. My balance was off. And so my electronic music was over.
He'd been trying to find his way back to music when Karen offered him a gig.
She gave me the opportunity to be the music leader in the group.
The group meets every Tuesday morning in the Hollywood district. There's usually a couple dozen people. Karen says it's never too late to join them.
We have, she calls herself a beginner across the room here, who is 95 years old. And she comes every week and she's having a great time.
You need to keep connected. You need to stay active. And sometimes people don't know how to do that.
Lynn Shemer-Valou is with Multnomah County's Aging, Disability, and Veteran Services. They team up with groups like this one to help seniors thrive.
Doesn't have to mean the end, doesn't have to mean a downward spiral. It can mean all sorts of great things. It can mean finding new community.
Turned out, the thing that I did not expect was the friendships and the community that we formed.
Call it improvisation.
You guys don't count.
There's a lot of that here. Rule number 1, sing along if you know the words.
Rule 2 is if you don't know the lyrics, make some up. Let's sing along anyhow, right?
It's true. No one here is looking to get away. But when the music starts, that's exactly what happens.
It ends up being like a musical river that we all enjoy going along for the ride.
In Northeast Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Well, thanks for a great week here on the 208. We got some of your comments in now. Let's take a look at them live. Up to the board. All right, Carl in Middleton, one of the few people that commented about the motorcycle story. He writes, are you saying that two motorcycles cannot ride side by side in one lane? We're actually not saying that. Let me read you directly from the state police. They say, lane sharing, riding side by side in a single lane with another vehicle, you can't do that. So a motorcycle and a vehicle right next to each other, that's a no. But they say, except another motorcycle. So as long as you're being careful, let's say you're going out with your friend, you guys can motorcycle safely in the same lane. But be careful out there. There's a reason state police and local law enforcement are putting out notices about motorcycles. We've had some very scary and tragic situations in our community, so be careful out there this weekend. All right, a few more comments here. I will advance them because that is my job to do it. Here we are. Chris writes, the 208, it was nice to see this gentleman finally got his power for his home. Have you told him to sit down when he gets the power bill? Yeah, that first power bill, that might knock your socks off, but that is pretty cool. After what, 100 years, he finally got power out there. And then finally from Bob, he writes, great story about the gentleman that lived 94 years without power. Yeah, it goes to show, I guess maybe we don't need all the cool things, but it's good to have power this weekend for the AC. All right, have a great weekend.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.